Hi, I'm Christian from Good Old Company. Joe Maffei, Instagram friend, he asked me about how I deal with edge coating of leather and fish leather. I promised him I would make a video explaining this, and you should always keep your promise. So here's my promise to you, Joe. I'm gonna try to explain in as simple matter as possible how I deal with it and how I came about dealing with it the way I do. Several years ago, I wanted, because of how fish leather is and the style of things that I make, I wanted to edge coat, use edge coat. And I bought this fine thing from Phoebings, which is of course considered one of the gods in everything concerning leather. And I tried it out, and I got frustrated. Simply putting, I didn't like it. I hated it. It was no good. It was not doing what I wanted, and well, I had to start again and do some research, and I was lucky to meet a woman that was working at Burberry's, because I wanted edges that were as fine as Hermes or Etienne or Burberry's or whatever you call it. I wanted superb edges. This fine thing wasn't doing it for me, and there was basically a very simple reason to that. I'll come to that later. Things that you can, it seems like you can buy worldwide is from Venice. I've been using that since. There are other makers like Rock in Denmark, and there is a newcomer on the market from Italy that I haven't tested yet, but it's very promising. And I will make a video once I get my hands on the edge coating from them. I'll make a video about it and tell you how I like it and what I like about them. But until then, stick to what I know and why I don't, the mistakes I did in the beginning, and why I didn't like the Phoebings one. It looks very handy. It comes with an applicator, which you then just press down and press on the leather and use. It wasn't giving good result. It wasn't, I mean, I had been looking at the videos at Phoebings side, at Tanti side, and it wasn't doing the job. But as you will see on my website, you will have to go to my website to see close-up images of what I'm doing here. It's goodoldcompany.com. There I'll blog about it and put up close-up images of what I'm doing here. Application with this is for me no good. It smears over the edges, way over the edges, the coating, and it's difficult to control. So online I went, and everybody was talking about spatula, some kind of spatula. So I bought a set of those three spatulas to do the job, and hoping that I would get a better job by doing it. There's a simple answer to how good they are. Forget about them. They're no good. Some swear by it, I don't. The simplest and best tool that I have found are these. These are old brushes that I have dipped into the edge coating several times, and then I have just smoothed the edges and the points. It's become hard, and it's by far the best and easiest method I have found to edge coat. So you probably have one or two of old brushes that are gone hard in your arsenal. Use those hard brushes that you thought were useless. Use them for edge coating. It's, in my opinion, the best. Now, in preparing, I have here wolfish. This is from a belly of a wolfish, and some leather that I have stained black, basic tooling leather. And while preparing, there's one thing that you definitely need: sanding paper. Everything from 240 up to 2000 grit. This is one of the basic keys of how good this is gonna be. If you got a daughter that is a beautician, she probably has a cube like that, which has 3 different sanding papers, grit for nails. Steal it from her. Don't tell her. Don't tell my daughter that I stole it from her. But this helps out perfectly. One little bit trickier version is using heat. It is trickier, and I haven't done it much, but I'm starting to do it more and more. And I'll link on my webpage 2 tools that will help you out if you want to use heat to smooth out the edges. The basics of things is just that you start by sanding the edges. If you'll see to it that it's hard pressed and glued, you'll start finally with some rough sandpaper. Then you go on to maybe 800 grit. You go on to the 1200, but wait with the 2000. Now, what I do is I just have a bowl that I use for this. I pour a little of edge coat in the bowl, and then I have a good control of how much I take at each time and apply to the edge. And as I say, you will see it better on my website, how it floats and how it works. I'm basically doing what car painters and furniture painters call floating. You want enough amount of edge coat so that it floats on the edge, and this you actually won't get by applying it once. What you will have to do is you apply the edge coat one time, and I usually just apply it roughly. The first round I just apply it roughly, then I start sanding with 800 down. Sometimes if the edges are rough, the cut is not good enough, I've not been precise enough in the cutting, and there's some rough edges, I start by 240. I sand it down, and I sand it down to the point where you can see the leather coming through, and even some edges of the fish leather also coming through. But what's happening is that the first round is filling up all the pores in the leather and the fish leather, and gluing both together at the same time. I then start sanding with going higher and higher. This is 1200, sand with 1200, and then with 2000, and at this point this is very, 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 very smooth, and this means I need very thin application of the edge coating, and I only need as much as is needed for it to float. This will mean that by applying like that with the brush, watching that it floats, that there are no holes in, no gaps in or pools in the edge. This is tremendously easy actually. And I'll show you on the website how this looks. This is smooth. This is smooth as silk and will dry to a smooth as silk edge. This is rather matte. The feepings, what I don't like about it mostly is that it's like a sweaty disco queen. It's shining. It's too shiny. For things like my fish leather bolt, it doesn't fit the style. If I want a little bit more shine on it, what I do is I apply tan coat. I do that anyways on the leather, and while doing that I apply a small amount of tan coat as a second layer. The new player on the market that I talked about earlier in this video, they have like a finisher where you can choose whether to have matte or glossy surface on it, besides having a lot of color options in it. But both in my wallets, my fish, this is salmon wallet. I don't like, it's not my style, and for the watches, watch bands, I think this semi-gloss is better for me. So that's one of the reasons I don't like the feepings. I like this more. It's semi-glossy, semi-glossy. I would say, not matte, but semi-glossy. It's easy application, and if you've got some bumps in the second run of your application, heating is one way of doing it, and I would use that as a second application and then apply the third one. With a heating iron, branding iron like that, it's tricky. You can buy dome-shaped irons that easily run it. It's known by bookbinders for a long time. It's easy to get online, and you just run that on the edge, smoothing it out. I've been using this now on my belts lately, it's really good way. So I will test the method of having a round shaped tool to do this, and I would also recommend that if you get a branding iron like that, you would have it with controllable heat, so you can control the heat. This has just one heat. This is some cheap junk that I bought. It's a 30 watt, and it's a little bit too much, but by carefully applying the heat to the edge, I can see there is a small bump in here. I can move the acrylics off the edge coating around, and thus smoothing, gradually smoothing the whole edge, uh, trying not to burn it. If fish leather is to heat like that, it's a little bit delicate, so you have to be careful with it. You want the edge coating closing the gap. You want it to help you glue the fish leather to the leather, and hold, keep it there. But fish leather to high heat like this, it shrinks, so you have to be very careful if you're doing this. That's why basically I think sanding is better. It's easier, but this is also quite a good method, but you have to be more careful, and you can get quite nice result by just doing that, and quickly going around the edge. Do you need third application? I do take it, but if you really get the hang of doing it with heat, you might not even need it. You might want some more shine. It seems like it mats things a little bit more than just letting the edge coat dry on it by itself. So you might want something that gives it a little bit more shine, but this is actually a very good way of doing things. And from my tests, it holds. I've heard someone complaining that this peels off, but I've never experienced it. I have a wallet like that I'm using daily with this edge coating. Never falls off. I haven't had the problem with the belt. I have a watch strap myself with this coating, and it's been through a lot of all kinds of weather and everything, and you can see that on the fish leather, but you can't see anything on the edges. You can, it's not breaking, it's not peeling off, so I can't complain about it. So that's basically it. Cutting clean cuts using different types of sanding paper or nail polisher, which is quite good when you want to keep things straight. Sanding the edges a little bit, and applying with a paintbrush. In this case, I did not etch bevel, but even though you bevel it, if we bevel it, it's easy enough to apply. The thing with fish leather though is that it's not easy to bevel fish leather. So if you're gonna bevel the fish leather, I would recommend apply one round of edge coat and then use the beveling. And as you can see, it's no problem beveling after I put the first round of edge coating, but it's quite tricky and in some cases impossible if you don't edge coat it first, and then applying it to the edge and around. Is fairly easy. Let it dry, sand it, you can start by 240, going over to 800, 1200, 2000 grit, or use a cube like that that has step 1, step 2 and step 3 on it. So it's got 3 different kinds of gritting, very fine, and it's quite good. And then it's of course the key thing: practice, practice, practice and practice. That's what leather work is about. Getting good results is, there's no simple way of getting good results in leather work. You just have to practice, practice and practice until you master what you're doing. I hope that answered the question, Joe. If Joe or anyone has a question, feel free to comment below this video, or head to my Instagram site, my website goodoldcompany.com. I will be posting more videos about leather and leatherwork and what I know about it. I'm still not a master. I'm trying to master the art of dealing with leather, but hopefully I can share what I'm learning along the way and be an inspiration. Joe said I inspired him to make a fish leather belt, and I hope this short video will help him along that way and inspire him to work further with this magnificent material which fish leather is. Thank you for watching, and feel free to comment or send me a message and ask questions. Thank you.